Verse 517. Appearance, self-nature, form and name. Depending on these four conditions, all kinds of imagination are carried on. Most of the time we're stuck in what's described in these verses as the false imagination, the parikapita. We don't need to use the adjective false, because all imagination, inasmuch as we believe it to be describing an external, objective reality, is false. This verse is describing one pole of enlightenment practice. It's the pole that we have to acknowledge and then step back from, step back into what is real. It's reminding us once again of our situation. So let's have a look at it in more detail. Appearance. Well, appearance is what is apparently going on. Self-nature. And we assume that appearance has some kind of independence. That there's something behind the appearances. Form and name. These two often go together. But it's curious, the word for form here is samsthanam. It's usually rupa. Nama rupa, name and form. So I wonder what the significance of this term samsthanam is. Rupa, in these verses, or in these videos, is understood as what attracts the attention. And I think in this context, form is what has already attracted the attention. It's our situation, which is what samsthanam means. We're already inhabiting the world of form. And this is reinforced by naming things. Once you give something a name, it has an identity. We've identified it. It has an identity. It's real. So depending on these four conditions, all kinds of imagination are carried on. For most of us, it's not imagination, it's real. This is reality. This is what we have to deal with. This is what demands our attention. It's what we get on with. No arguments. At the same time, it's what fuels our fears, our anxieties. There are certain things we just don't want to consider, like our own mortality, death. We've got the weight of the past and the weight of the future propelling us along. And if that's what you're happy with, then just get on with it. But I think because you're looking at this video, you probably aren't very happy with that situation. And you'll be looking for a way out. And the way out is to be able to see these four factors in operation. What else is there? We can work backwards. What I was saying about identity, naming things. Everything has an identity. We discern particular forms, particular patterns. We give them a name. We assume that there's something real behind the pattern. We can compare this with the constellations. The Big Dipper. Is there anything real about the Big Dipper? There isn't. There are stars up there. But we make these patterns, and we can use these patterns for finding our way around. Patterns are useful. But these patterns have no intrinsic reality. So there's no self-nature. All we're doing is identifying patterns. So we come back to this if we can see this mechanism at work and appreciate that all there is appearances. The first on the list, appearance, and this appearance is predominantly visual, but there's also the other channels of appearance which we relate to the senses of hearing and taste and so on. But I'd like to go a little bit deeper. It's a theme I've been touching on in previous verses, in recent verses, and that's the appearance of thoughts, feelings, our thoughts and feelings. In a way, we're getting back to a more conventional understanding of imagination here, because this is really what constitutes our reality, our thoughts, feelings, moods, and so on, the ideas that we have. This is actually our reality. And this really is what we need to step back from. A while back I mentioned I was having a problem with my back. It was beginning to seize up. And this was quite a while back actually, probably about 6 months ago, and since then it's been very, very difficult. I took something called naproxen, which had an almost instant effect. But it's like the whole problem went down into my legs and limited my mobility. And it's been like this for quite a while. And it's not just the physical aspect of this. It's had a very marked effect on my moods, on my thought patterns. The best way I can describe this feeling in my legs is like a migraine. If legs could have a migraine, this is it. It's very hard to focus on things. There's a feeling of nausea, and I could take the naproxen for some relief, and my doctors prescribed me co-codamol, a medium codeine compound. It's like my body and mind are clearly this one entity. They're linked, and both are very uncomfortable to inhabit. So I've been feeling recently that I have no choice. I have no choice but to put these teachings into practice. And my greatest relief is in not only communicating this, but reading the ancient texts. They keep reminding me of this option, of this possibility of stepping outside this ball of suffering. We might experience the world as a ball of suffering, but for me this body-mind itself is almost uninhabitable. So I really have to get on with it. And practicing these teachings isn't just about doing these videos, although it's a very helpful part. I have to keep remembering it. I have a night shift to do tonight. It shouldn't be so busy. It probably won't be very busy. I might have quite a lot of free time, but sometimes that can be very difficult. But again, I want to take it as an opportunity. I'll take along something to read. It's very difficult as well when you're tired to stay on the ball. But we'll see. So the point I'm making here is we're not just talking about the external world. We're talking about in what we normally refer to as the internal world, the appearances that the mind presents to us. This is actually immensely more important. We need to see our mind as external as the rest of the world, because it is. It is. If you believe that the mind is part of the brain, then that makes it easier, because the brain is an objective, out there thing, just as my body is. This world, the situation we're in, the body, the mind, this is all our situation, which is what I think we can understand by the word samsthanam, form. We use it when we have to get on with things, but it's not our reality. Our reality is what these teachings are pointing to. This all-inclusive, all-encompassing, loving awareness.